Hello and welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia podcast with our producer, Matt Stoker. I am your host, Michelle Welch.
And I'm Roger Welch. So what's up today, Michelle?
Nothing.
Nothing? It's been raining all day.
Yeah.
So, washed everything out?
Did it?
Yeah.
What does
Pretty
that
much.
mean, washed everything out?
Everything, all those allergies. I was hoping it washed all those alien spore allergens and cedar spores from the south out of the air. So we all can breathe for a change.
Does it do that to you guys? Does it make everybody feel better or worse when it rains?
I don't like when it rains for like a long amount of time. Like I think it's going to rain all week, and I'm not looking forward to that, especially after, living in a house and having a backyard that tends to like pool a bunch of water.
Yeah.
And then the dogs run outside and they come back in. It's just a pain. But I do like it I do like a nice afternoon shower or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. It also affects my mood.
It does?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I get that seasonal. Seasonal blues.
She gets the gray.
I get the grays, the blues, the grays.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
I don't know. You tell me.
So we're talking about Earth Beyond.
Beyond Earth.
Beyond Earth. Because this weekend is actually our Soultopia Sensation on Sunday from 12 to 6. And the theme of this weekend is Beyond Earth.
That's the theme?
Anything outside of Earth. And we've also got a lot of things happening, like supposedly in June, the government's supposed to release more information about aliens.
Aliens?
Aliens.
I don't think that's exactly specific. So
What are they going to release then?
Well, first of all, let's talk
I
about.
say they're not going to release anything. Whoops, this turned
Beyond Earth is like really broad topic.
Super broad.
So I think we decided to cull it down a bit.
We did?
Well, because if you talked about beings beyond Earth, man, I mean, we could just go on forever. Like I was looking at this book we have that everybody I think should get. This is really interesting, Matt. It says it's by Warren Agius, Agius, Evidence of Extraterrestrials. And this one is by my publisher, Llewellyn. It's a new book. I think it just came out. And it's over 40 cases prove aliens have visited Earth. And you know what's really weird, y'all? Every time I'm starting to read some of this stuff, I wanted to have this person on the show, and now they'll never come on if I say this. But as I'm reading, I start reading like Warren, and it's Agius, and I feel like I'm going to say because of Matt, not Matt, but Neil.
Oh.
It's like prove aliens. I think I'm going to say probe. I'm going to say words I shouldn't be saying. It's like things are going to come out of my mouth that shouldn't be coming out of my mouth because I'm talking about these aliens coming down to Earth. Kind of.
The probing aliens.
Yeah, like evidence of extraterrestrials. But let me show y'all the cover of this. And it's actually pretty interesting. So look so it's over 40 cases prove aliens have visited Earth. Now, Warren, I'm going to tell you, if you have proof in this book,
Call the government.
I want you on the show. And I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm really serious. But the back of it, he says, it goes depth by depth, in case by case, beginning with the Aurora crash in 1897.
That was close to here.
Okay. And you guys are probably going to be, you and Matt are going to know more about all this stuff than me. And the famous Battle of Los Angeles in 1942.
Yep. That was during the war when they thought it was the Japanese, and it wasn't.
Okay. It tells definitive stories and provides impeccable documentation for these extraordinary encounters. The bodies recovered at Roswell were test dummies, or were they extraterrestrials? Learn which one. And explore the truth behind the Belgian UFO wave, the Lubbock Lights photograph, the Mariana film footage. Are y'all familiar with all this?
Yeah.
Bunch of other stuff.
Well, dumbass Neil went out there to the Lubbock thing not too long ago.
Well,
He was in here today, so I get to bug him a little
So
bit because
this-
I didn't get to actually bug him while he was here today.
well, he should be on the show too. But anyway, this guy, y'all should get this book. Check it out. A longtime UFO researcher known for his unbiased approach to factual evidence. He has personally interviewed UFO contactee and best-selling author Whitley Strieber, as well as the late UFOologist Stanton Friedman. Warren lives in Malta. So I think this would be a really good book. And Roger, I actually took it home for you, but we have several copies still at this location in Carrollton, and I'm sure we do on at Bishop. I'm not sure if we have the books up at
I haven't taken
Stilltoppy.
any up there yet.
So
up
you
to
guys
Frisco.
might want to check this book out. It looks really interesting to me, and he sounds very knowledgeable. And I know just from dealing with the publisher that I deal with, they make you fact check and cite sources like a lot. Trust me. And then we gave Matt this, I think, for his birthday maybe or something.
Yeah.
Have you checked this out yet?
Yeah, it's really cool.
So this is
I
more.
took one home with me. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, of course you. Roger loves to read. No, I'm kidding. You don't have time. You love to build and open new stores, right?
Yep.
So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and read to you, but we do have these interesting books that y'all can check out. This is maybe more of a little encyclopedia, or not encyclopedia, a little reference book.
Yeah, I mean, encyclopedia is probably a good. It looks like it says reference guide on the back, but it's got just entries in there, so it's not necessarily a book that you read cover to cover. It's more like you can poke around and find different things that you want to learn more about, and it's sort of
Right.
encyclopedia is probably the best way to say that.
Okay, so if I looked up
Yeah.
green reptilian aliens, yeah, here I'd find it on page 178, right? And it's too long to read. But if I looked up something shorter like remote dowsing, here we have to hold a pendulum over a map, and it tells you how to do it. So it's got a variety of stuff. So this is a pretty interesting resource, and I like the cover. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cool art.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So we have, and here's why I brought these out, because what I've noticed is a trend when you own stores and you start noticing, and you read a lot, follow the news,
Yep.
you start noticing trends. And the trends are very much going back to people coming in wanting books about aliens and unidentified things, things otherworldly beyond this earth. And I see that Llewellyn is on top of this trend, and some other publishers are not as much on top of this trend. And I'll call it a trend. Some people have always been into it, but other people are getting into it now. And why? Well, because of what we're going to talk about. Because what happened at the beginning of COVID?
They released some video of U.S. Navy fighters actually following a UAP.
And so a UAP, for those, you guys, I'm in the know.
Michelle's going to explain it to us now. Get ready.
Do y'all know that it is no longer called a UFO? An unidentified flying object. It's called a UAP.
Which stands for?
An unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Got it.
Right? Yeah. So now you have to say UAP to be the cool kid. So I'm a cool kid when it comes to
You got it.
UAPs.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My God. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating.
It was sent
There's three
all
of 'em.
together.
Yeah.
So the 3 videos were sent. What do you want to say about that, you guys, Roger?
Well, I mean, I think there's been a lot of things happen throughout history. It's just that now with cameras and things, even smartphones and what have you, it's just gotten more out there with people. And even though you have Hollywood that kind of, well, some of that's romanticized or, try to scare the shit out of you or whatever, but you have Hollywood kind of normalizing it too. For example, like this right here, I was fooling around and I found this. This is actually one of the documents. You know how like the government's released a bunch of documents? So this is your favorite NSA. But this is from the NSA.gov website.
Okay.
Okay. And it says for official use only, and it's, marked through at the top. Oh, actually on the whole document where it says for use, official use only is marked through. Communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. We are not alone in the universe. A few years ago, this notion seemed far-fetched. Today, the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence is taken for granted for most scientists. And this actually goes on and on and on. The guy who wrote it, it's got the binary in here. It shows where they've actually was in communication and everything, right? And then when you get all the way down here to the bottom, somebody stamped it right here. The guy who actually wrote the article won this world-renowned, Mr. Kalamos won world renown as a flute virtuoso before serving the Army Crypto Unit in World War II. So this is like in the 40s. This article was actually written in the 40s. And they just released it. This was actually released in 2019.
Right. So it started, some of these videos started, I think one of the main videos was like 2019. And the guy who filmed it, he did an article. He was a Navy pilot. And he called it the Tic Tac, this UFO. Okay, so I kind of was like curious about that, why he called it. Have y'all heard about that? And his main thing was, his name was Chad Underwood, and they interviewed him. And when this article came out, he said, and wait, hold on, because it might have been, I can't do the math, because that would have been longer ago. This one that is being shown right now, it says in the 15 years since Chad recorded it. So that's the math doesn't add up. So the one they're showing, his FA-18 Super Hornet recorded something, okay? And he said the main thing was that the UFO, or the UAP as it's called now, was being very erratic. And I'm like, okay, so I don't fly airplanes or fighter jets. What would that be? And so what he said that erratic is the way it moves, how it turns, and how fast it goes, how it maneuvers. And if we, as civilians, and especially people who don't fly planes, especially somebody like me who doesn't get that, I even asked Roger, I was like, what would that mean to you? And he said how it would take a dive or how it would turn. And so actually, it says the story of TikTok begins around November 10th of 2004. And they started reporting it, these odd-shaped things. And that the fact that they just moved so fast, and they would go higher than birds could go. Can you help me? Just higher than birds could go, faster. It just was not in the range of anything, drones, anything like that they'd ever seen before. So it was the erratic nature and nothing like they'd ever seen before.
The flight patterns just didn't make sense to anything else that could fly, any known flying machines or animals.
Yeah, and he said he couldn't remember the exact terms that they used when they were talking, but he knew that they said things just were extremely, extremely different. And he is the one that named it Tic Tac. And I found that very interesting. And so I was asking Roger, I was like, well, what is that Tic Tac? Because I've been reading. So here's what I decided. I was like, well, is it a sphere or is it a
Shaped like a tic tac.
A tic tac. So look, so here we have like a cube and a sphere. It was a something and a something. So you said it was a what and a what?
Wasn't it a sphere and a triangle?
I think it was a,
Something like that.
yeah. So if it was a sphere, here's a sphere. There's a sphere. Sorry, Matt. There's a sphere. And like a triangle. Okay. I also read it might be a triangle and a cube, but it was like two
Two different shapes.
shapes.
Combined
And if
together.
I sat here and read, I'd find it. They said it different. They described it different ways. Matt may know, but it was one inside of the other. I know that one of them was, well, you said it one way, I said the other, but it was two shapes together, two geometric shapes, one shape inside of the other shape. But it didn't have any of your typical things. It didn't have wings. It didn't have anything where it came together. They just said it was just the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. Now, here's the thing for me. That didn't surprise me at all because I've always known there's otherworldly beyond this earth stuff.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, the known universe is 100,000 light years across each way. That's 100,000 light years each way that's known. Then beyond that, there's still stuff beyond that they don't even know about. This, kind of considered the dark zone type things, but they
Right.
don't know everything that is actually still there. So, and then you have planets like what they call super Earths that are like large Earth planets. And, it's conditions are right for, life to be there. But because they're so large, it's for like comparison to our rockets taking off, it would be 2.5 times as much pressure for them to get out of the atmosphere for those large planets. So they might not be able to get out of the atmosphere because of the size of the planets themselves. So there's a lot of things, with that, they have the possibility of being there, maybe not to even be able to get out. And some where they have, been around for millions of years have gone beyond where we're at now.
I just think that our minds are so linear and so, I mean, people make fun of the fact that people can see beyond this dimension. They make the joke's on them when they think that I can't see a spirit. I can. So I don't even try to defend myself. I don't need to. And I'm not trying to be rude saying the joke's on them, but I do.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not crazy. So if they've had their chance to put me away. I've said to doctors, am I just like crazy? And they're like, well, yeah, kind of, but not really that kind of crazy. And so like, you're silly, crazy, and maybe a little weird, but not that kind of crazy. And so it just doesn't surprise me. And I think as we get more into quantum physics and people, it's interesting that now we have these camps, Matt, I believe. We have physicists, super intelligent people, and then we have like, I'm not saying I'm dumb, but I don't get that at all. I don't get it at all. Like you can tell, I'm talking about it going like the sphere maybe and maybe a cube, And then you have people who say, I've seen something and I can't explain it. Or I feel something and I can't explain it. You have these two camps, and maybe those two camps come together with some people. And you have, all of a sudden, they're talking about the same things, just in different ways. And I read an article about that while I'm doing research for my new book that's talking about spirits and energy beings being all around us. And I find it very interesting that all of a sudden, those two, one group of type of scientists that is not typically generally accepted, quantum physicists weren't for a while totally accepted. And then another group of people that aren't totally accepted, but yet, in their realm of what they do, right?
Yep.
Are kind of onto something that people are now looking at going, this may be real. Right? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah, because
And maybe the smartest people in the world are going, there's something to that multi-dimensional reality, to that
Right.
parallel universe, to something with those black holes. There's something there.
yeah.
And those other people knew it all along. There's something going on, something beyond this earth that maybe we don't totally understand and can't explain, that we don't really need to make fun of. And maybe they will be able to round earth, flat earth us into understanding more, where some of us who feel those things and have known some of those things aren't maybe the ones to give words to and verbiage to that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though you're talking about the scientists that's out here that they kind of don't consider to be real science. Well, throughout history, not all scientists
They
was
were
real
always
history.
questioned.
They were always
Yeah.
questioning it, but at some point, a lot of that actually came to be true.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
most scientists, most everything that's been a breakthrough, it's
Mm-hmm.
always been questioned.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's been debunked.
Yep.
And you try it and it's debunked. But maybe some of you listening are getting kind of what I'm trying to say and feel it yourself, because you know there's something more out there. And that's why there's not always that much difference between faith and science. And when people go, and here's as far off track as I'll get, but when they go, you better choose faith or science. I don't think
So-
you always have to choose one or the other.
So my
because I
friend-
think they overlap.
So my friend called me today, and
Yeah.
he was talking, and he was asking about the show because he listens a lot actually. And
Why does that surprise you?
yeah, well, no, it doesn't. But we were talking about it, and he's like, I really hope in June they release some stuff. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool if they do. I don't think they're really going to release a lot more than what we already kind of know. And because you have a lot of things, against it. One of the big ones is religion, because it kind of rocks the bedrock of Adam and Eve and everything else, even though, there's other stories around Adam and Eve, but it kind of rocks that bedrock of those types of stories. He's like, well, I believe in aliens and I still believe in Jesus. I was like, well, okay, best way to be. Let's go with it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people who believe that. And, I think people can believe whatever they want to believe. And I think there's a lot of things that have come to light that maybe have shaken our core of beliefs, and maybe make us re-examine what we believe, and maybe broaden that or reshape that. And I know that's happened in my life a lot, and it does cause questions for those of you listening. But I will say what I think regarding whether or not we'll get any answers in June. No. Why are they? Here's what I found as far as why they're even doing it, and this was as of January. Did y'all know, from what I can tell, that the reason they're even coming out with it, it was passed as part of a COVID-19 relief legislation, that they were going to have to come out with this information. So I found that very interesting just to begin with. It wasn't just some random, okay, we want information. I found it very interesting also that there already was this 22 million, was it million or billion? I'll look it up so I have it, because I have it here. But the lawmakers started demanding answers, and this is from military.com. Now, I don't know if military.com is some super reliable source, so you guys can vet this, but I went down the rabbit trail, not the Q rabbit trail, if y'all watched that on have y'all seen that on HBO Max?
I'm
If
saying
you
she
haven't,
did.
watch that. Okay, if you want your head black cologne. Okay, that's some crazy stuff. So, and some interesting stuff at the same time, like crazy and interesting. But they demanded answers from some of the U.S. intelligence agencies and the Defense Department, right? About this unidentified aerial phenomenon. I like it that I know the cool thing. UAPs. And it was a 2.3 trillion omnibus appropriations legislation passed in
2.3 trillion.
trillion.
That's a lot of money, guys.
But that was part of the whole COVID-19, okay, that legislation, right? So it was, you know how they slip things into bills? and they come up with all these compromises, and they, to get one person to vote a certain way, then they try to come on, Matt, I want you to vote for this, and then Matt says, but I really care about this, so if you want my vote, we need to get this in there too. And that's why stuff gets changed around. And that's why we kind of go crazy sometimes about how did that get in a bill when we're talking about this. People don't always realize that, right?
I am curious. I need to go and look and see who slipped the alien stuff in there. Because I'm sure it says somewhere, how that got added.
I think it's in here. I think it's Rubio.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm not, I want to make sure, because in my little research, this is where I think it led me. And it was passed, and it included the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal 2021, which provides more resources towards investigation, gathering, and strengthening open source intelligence. And that's collection among the agencies, according to release from Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio, who introduced the bill in June. Now, that may mean he introduced the whole bill. So he may not be, that's my guess, right?
Right. I mean, from just hearing this, it sounds like it was probably some sort of bigger intelligence agency bill funding and providing more means to share information. And within that somewhere is this little thing that says, also you're going to release.
They got slipped in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
And I think what they're wanting within it is, the bigger thing they're wanting is more access to drone activity from Russia and China. And they're wanting activity regarding that and more access to that.
Well, I imagine some of this stuff would fall under that, right? Like we hear UFO and think aliens, but really, I mean, when you break that term down, that just means something that they don't know what it is. So it doesn't, anything that might be some sort of unknown technology from another country or some sort of surveillance thing, or, like you said, drone, that's all going to be part of that. So, it doesn't, I have to assume, I'm sure there are some people in Congress who do care whether or not there are aliens, but I have to assume that the large majority is just like, let's find out more of what's actually going on in the sky that we know, which could very well be, stuff from other countries.
Absolutely.
A lot more terrestrial.
What's unidentified out there that we need to know about, even if it comes from North Korea?
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Or China accidentally, and it's a rocket. Didn't you tell me about that?
I'm shocked you didn't know about it.
Yeah, I get it, right?
Oh, the rocket crash?
She had no clue.
I didn't know.
That was my wife, who will find a reason to worry about anything, was very concerned that it was going to hit our house, even though we were a very narrow sliver of whether or not it would come, and I think it hit on the other side of the world from us. But there was a time on Saturday where we were watching very closely the projections on where this thing was going to land and make sure it didn't hit East Dallas.
See?
So that's how it went down in your house. You know
Yes.
how it went down in our house?
You didn't know about it.
She didn't know.
Tell him what happened.
She was like, "What are you talking
We're
about?"
coming down back from me having, a whipped cream pina colada, because all I care about is the whipped cream, and a little piece of
I think you had the whipped cream and
coconut in there.
and rum.
No, I don't even care. I just want the whipped cream, and it tastes like coconut. And he said something about some rocket and from somewhere, and I go, well, isn't that what we always do? Don't we send rockets up in the air? And sometimes people, sadly,
I tried to explain it.
blow
It
up
didn't go
in the
over
rockets.
very well.
I mean, and I don't mean that rude. I'm just saying that
It didn't go
that
over very well trying to explain
happened,
it.
and he's trying to explain it to me. And I go, okay, I need to go watch The Handmaid's Tale. I was, woohoo, I missed that news totally. So clearly I did not worry about it at all.
I didn't even know where to go with it. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, Roger
just
just
move
gave
on.
up. And here I am talking about unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Maybe you could grab a...
So maybe you should take over so somebody will think somebody on here is credible. I actually will say that some of what the information includes will, what the Pentagon, the FBI, and its counterparts know about the unidentified aerial phenomenon, also known as anomalous aerial vehicles. The lawmakers expect to see a report on the collected UFO data. They went back to saying UFO. I don't like that. 180 days from the bill's passage, according to legislation. And so then when you go to other sites, the lawmakers are concerned that there is no unified, this could be true, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on all these things, just like Matt was saying, which is why sweeping report on the relevant information was included. So it doesn't, and here you go, Matt. The UFOs don't have to be out of this world. The legislation requires information on any technologies China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and others may possess in this field, including aerospace or other threats posed by blah, 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 blah. See, there you go.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
there you go.
Good.
So you know what's going to come out on June 1st, and it's not going to be June 1st. It's going to be late. What do you think is going to come out?
Nothing.
Well, they're going to say we need access to, this bill entitles us to access to anything that's up in the air that we're supposed to know about.
Yeah, well,
And you would think
I hate
we'd
to
already
tell
have
you,
something
but
like that.
Russia doesn't give a shit what they think about their bills.
Well, I know that, but it's saying to other departments, or if the FBI has something, or if another department has it, that needs to go to some centralized place within the U.S. government where the Pentagon or somebody has access to it, and that still won't matter because they, I watch enough TV to know that they don't give a crap either, right?
Yeah, they don't care
Okay.
at all.
So
Not at all.
let's get back on some, but that is how it happened, you guys. I
So-
found that interesting because we all think, oh, here it comes because there's something interesting going on. No, it all went back to, it's part of this COVID. It was part of one of the COVID-19
Yeah,
legislation bills that was passed.
yeah.
And it's one of those, I'm telling you, probably not a million, but probably 100 plus things that got stuck in that bill.
So we got something for you.
Okay.
Y'all gonna love this. So you know how Michelle always comes up with these games, and I find out when I'm sitting here. Oh, we're playing this game today. So we have a game for Michelle today, right, Matt?
We do.
It's
Yeah.
called "Can Michelle Name That Alien?"
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, just in,
fail.
So we got 5 aliens that we're gonna show you a picture of, Michelle, and you got
Like,
to
do I
come
have
up.
to do them on a first name basis?
just
See if you-
name the just name the type of alien it is. So just in case there is something pretty groundbreaking in this release, and you need to be up to date on how you address these aliens whenever they come out and at this press conference.
Yeah.
So let's see if you can name the type of alien. And I think these
It should be easy.
I feel like I've stacked these in order of easiest to hardest.
Yeah.
Right. So these should be easy. All you have to do is just name the generally accepted name for their species or race of alien. Okay?
Okay.
That make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, here's the first one.
That's a gray.
That's good.
That is very
Yeah.
good.
That's what most people always are talking about and seeing and things like that. And encounters of the third kind.
All right. So we're going to go to
That's as far as I can go.
all right. Well, no, that's good. That's a good
So
start.
you got a good start.
You're one for one right now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
How about these guys?
This should be easy.
Why?
Because they kind of look like those ones from Land of the Lost.
Well, he
Even
went,
though they're not
like, don't
sleek.
give her any more hints. Don't worry, he's not giving me any hints. I don't know. They're not.
Definitely
They're
world
not
domination.
Arcturians, are they? I don't know. They
What
don't
do
look
what
like
do they look like?
reptilians.
What did you say?
They don't look like reptilians to me. That picture.
Well, that's what they are.
That's what
They don't look like a reptilian.
Well,
to
I
me.
mean, they can be different. But look at their noses.
Yeah, their
Oh,
noses, their
okay.
skin,
I
their
guess.
hands. Look at their
Okay,
hands.
so I guess they look
There's-
like reptilians. I've seen. Okay.
There's artist interpretation here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So did I get that one right? So I said reptilian.
We'll count it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here's your next one.
Well, that is well, it looks sort of like a Palladian Atlantean to me. I go way back to that, but they're going like future but to me it looks like a Palladian council, but I'm going backwards. Palladian council, like Atlantean. Y'all are going future though, but I think they're still existing. So that's what I say.
Yeah.
What is it?
That's Nordic.
Okay.
But it's kind of very
I would
similar to
argue
the
that
Palladian. Very
They're
similar, but it's Palladian.
Palladian-ish.
And they actually are considered to be a race that was here during that earlier time too.
To really, are they the how are they perceived? This interpretation.
Very light skin, light hair color, just like that, with the blue eyes.
Not how they look, how they behave.
Actually, they were not a warrior type.
I didn't think
No.
they're like more enlightened
Yeah.
in a way, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas I think the reptilians are generally
Yeah.
considered to be more.
Yeah, reptilians just
Hostile.
take over the world
Yeah.
and kill
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah.
These are a little bit more egalitarian. All right, here we go. Here's the next one. This one might be a little bit more difficult. So this is a piece of art from Earth, but
Right. So it looks like something that back from Sumerian times, like when they did the art of this, a Sumerian artwork of something. And I forget what they did the artwork of. And I'm drawing a blank on what, I mean,
you're on the right track with Sumerian. This is
yeah.
a race that they believed in.
I'm drawing a blank. I didn't say it before. The Arcturians, they're like earth, under earth beings. They believe they live in the earth, right?
Yep. These were not. These were actually considered to be giants too.
I remember. It's not the type. I mean, that's mythology. It ties it in. It's like it ties into angels, but I can't remember the word that I'm gonna have to pass. I know it's something with Samaria because they drew them and they tapped into them, and I'm just blanking on what word because I think of them as differently. But what is it?
That's the Anunnaki.
Okay.
So what's really cool though, like
Was it Samaria who drew them?
in Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
Oh, Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the history of these is the fact that they actually are the ones that enhanced humans because they came to Earth to mine gold and copper and things. And they got lazy and didn't want to mine because they got here. Like, here's some people we can enhance, kind of, and actually make them do the work. What's in his hand?
Well, a third eye.
Pine cone.
That's a
what do you
third
talk
eye.
about? Pineal glands,
Pineal
stuff like that.
gland. Yeah.
Also, look at his wrist.
So that's like a watch.
Yeah.
So they were ahead of their time.
Yes. So, and this is a piece of artwork you can actually go and see that's dated back.
I said pineal gland because I jumped from pine cone to that's where the word pine cone came.
Yep.
Pineal gland, pine cone, they go together to
Yeah.
me.
So
Third eye.
they are the ones credited to basically converting intelligent life.
Is that where maybe the story where I tie that into angels is that
Yes.
did they get tied into angels or fallen angels at all?
Yeah, I think I mean the Anunnaki you hear referenced a lot with ancient alien theory and different like anytime that cultures talk about visitors from either heaven or from the stars, a lot of people consider this to be the race that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where.
Yep.
So how'd I do?
Wait,
Well, hold
we're
on.
not done.
Oh
You're only
no! How
you're
many?
only 2 for 4 so far.
Yeah. You
2
have
for 4.
Yeah, 2 for 4.
you have one more.
That's only
3.
50% so far.
Roger, I did 3. Look at my face. I did
Michelle,
3.
later when you watch this back, you'll say, "Oh yeah, I only did 2 for."
You may get a passing grade on this one. All right, here's the last one. You ready? All right, can you name
Oh,
this one?
well, he's like little Yoda. It's not the little one. It's not the child. It's Yoda. But do I have to say his species and everything?
Yeah, Yoda was his name.
Yeah.
It's Yoda.
Yeah.
That's his name.
There you go.
Is that all I need to know?
That's all you need to know.
Oh, thank you. Thank God.
You made a 67 on this test.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop. I never have made, I don't make 67s. Most of the time.
Made a 70 minus.
Yeah.
Aw, thanks, y'all. That was fun.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, much more interesting than my boring stuff.
Yeah, we thought you'd like that.
Thank you. That was fun. Was it fun for everybody else to watch me like squirm? Especially since I'm writing about spirits amongst us, and some of them are some of those
Yeah.
types of things that are among. But you know, I think that like it's what's the word, amalgamation? Does that mean where you like squish it all together?
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff's squished all together.
Yeah.
When you look at creationism theories and you look at so many things, and it does, especially right now, it sort of can rock your core beliefs when something like this might come out.
Yeah.
Especially if you're really holding on tight to. I never did with anything I believed, because I'm hesitant to say this, because my father would adamantly tell me that this wasn't in my grandfather's Bible, but I saw it written in his Bible. My grandfather was an Assembly of God preacher, and I remember we kept his Bible, and I'm sure my dad still has it, and it was written in passages over to the side talking about aliens. And so my grandfather and my dad, sorry, Dad, if you ever watch this, but you don't agree with a lot of things I say, but I love you. But my grandfather did. He wrote about aliens. So when you said your friend who is a Christian, Protestant, if you want to call them Catholic, whatever, these, Western, what do you want, Christian type beliefs, then I don't think it shatters that theory. I don't think it has to shatter every, belief of that, because I've grown and evolved with my belief in the things, but there are times where things happen where something was written so long ago and it has withstood the test of time, and they felt like they had to protect it at all costs, instead of just saying, yes, it can still be inerrant in a way. There's not error in what God has to say. But there's been I think so many cover-ups of when they find things, and like you were talking about, they find these scrolls and they find these different parts of Scripture, and it does make you wonder, and they find, the real interpretation of what certain words say, and it just defies all reason. And without getting too far down that path, as someone who strongly has faith, I believe that doesn't mean, and I want to say this for people who do have a strong faith, that doesn't mean you have to throw away your faith, and don't let anybody tell you that it does. It doesn't. Just because you shift your belief a little bit in something, or say, I believe in aliens, or I believe that God is so vast that she could do anything they want to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look also, you have the book of Enoch, which is an old, very old, part that they will not add into the Bible or religious practice, even though it is dated there. But it talks about aliens there too.
Yeah, and Enoch was Metatron, the archangel Metatron, and
the father of Noah, or grandfather of Noah.
All of it was passed down through Noah, but it's and that's it. But if you wanted to the show wasn't really on that, but we talked about this because it does take you down a path of, and my main thing that I tell people who come to me, and I have a lot of people who will come to me and say, do I have to throw away all my beliefs to believe for you, Michelle, to pull a card for me because it's evil? And I'm going to say, you believe what you want to believe. I don't want to go against what you believe, but I want you to go with what you believe in your gut. And it's interesting. I just heard Oprah saying that. I was listening to her saying something to Drew Barrymore where she said the same thing. She said, go with your true gut, your own intuition, because what's right for me may not be right for you, and what's right for you may not be right for me. But really go with that true gut. If you really feel, it's not going to, God is big enough, or the universe is big enough to hold more than really just us. I was thinking about today, why do we always chunk on Earth like, it's the trash can of the universe? I mean, why are we always depicted as Earth's the trash can of the universe? I think Earth's a pretty beautiful place. But we're also maybe not the center of the universe either. I mean, we're not the center of everything. Why do we think we're the center of everything? Why? Talk about narcissistic.
I know. Well, that's what people believed forever. They didn't realize the actual sun is actually traveling through the universe. They thought the sun was the center of the universe.
And I'm talking about the center of all universes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just kind of like a star just on the outside edge of the universe traveling through.
I mean, I'm curious. Do we know the statistics of who truly believes there aren't?
Aren't or that
That
are?
are not. Who believes? I wonder. Do we know the stats on belief in alternate people, universe? And
I think at one time it was like 30%. That's what I saw.
that believed in it?
Yeah, that believed actually.
Oh, I think
in
it's much higher.
But
than
I
that
think now it is much higher. Yeah.
now. I would like to know that.
Yeah. Probably
Does
look that
somebody
up.
listening know?
Actually, why don't you look that up? Let me tell you about this one then.
Okay, you do it.
So the states with the most UFO sightings. So if you want to go out and you actually want to try to spot a UFO, here's where you probably should go: Idaho, Montana, New Hampshire, Maine, New Mexico, Vermont, Wyoming, Hawaii, Washington, and Connecticut.
Why?
My guess is probably, if you think about a lot of these, are a little more kind of not as much light pollution in the sky, so it's easier to spot. But there's also even a list of the states with the fewest UFO sightings. Now, also, if you kind of think about this, is probably how many are reported versus how many are seen and not reported too. But you have Texas, Louisiana, New York, Maryland, Illinois, California, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and North Carolina.
For a while, you had me there.
I had you on the.
Good old boys. We don't believe in it. For a second, you had me. Then you threw in California and New York, and that blew my theory.
My theory of the light pollution was really good until I got down to Alabama and Mississippi.
Oh, is there?
We got to have lights first.
Electricity hadn't made it there.
Yeah, they still don't have electricity.
I'm surprised to see Texas on that list because I feel like I see a UFO report
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, there was one just, a few weeks ago, and I mean, it was somewhere close, right?
Yeah.
Like Fort Worth or something like that.
Yeah, it was
Like,
Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe it is because they don't get enough reported, even though people see it, and they don't actually report it officially.
And then there were those a few years ago in Stephenville, I remember, and then out in West Texas, I feel like they're seeing
Out
all
in
the time
Lubbock,
out there.
they have the lights out of Lubbock like all the time. You can pretty much go out there and see that all the time. But I guess they don't classify that as UFO, as more phenomenon.
It's all those Houston people dragging us down.
I know,
not
right?
Believing in stuff.
Because they have all the light
Okay.
pollution.
So there was this poll conducted. Now, this is
So how many people believe in UFOs?
source.
and
Well, I want
aliens?
to see how many. This is conducted January 2nd through 3rd in 2020. Now, this was only 1,005.
They only asked 1,000 people.
1,005
And
U.S. adults. Okay, so we'll just take it as it is. But it's the first one I could find. So you want to hear it?
Yep.
Okay. Y'all guess. There is life on other planets. How many percent?
70.
Yeah, I would think that would be pretty high, like 75%.
66%.
Oh, I thought it'd be higher than that.
All right. There's intelligent life and civilization on other
You
planets.
can't even find that here sometimes.
I'll say 40%.
Yes, that's good. Probably right.
57%.
Oh,
UFOs exist and have visited the Earth?
Oh, I would say that's probably 60%.
I'm gonna go a little lower. I'll say 50.
Close, 45%.
Okay.
All right, we're almost done. Humans will have permanent colonies in outer space by 2100.
I go with 30%.
So 80 years from now, permanent colonies in space.
Permanent.
Yeah,
Um,
I think 30's.
yeah, I'll say 35.
Wow, 37. Y'all were both close.
there we go.
Okay, and then I believe this is the last one. If they exist, alien and human societies would be similar.
First of all, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with
10%.
Yeah, it's got to be low, like 10 to 15%.
Okay, it's 26%. But why? Why do they always have to be so different?
Why do you think they're going to be humanoid and look like you?
I don't. I'm just saying, why do they always have to be so different?
I mean, which one of those do you classify yourself out of the 5 that you look like?
The pretty one.
The reptilian one?
I'm kidding.
How do we know they only have?
That's so snotty.
like two?
I don't. I'm not saying I'm pretty, but out of all those, it would be the what was it?
The
Nordic.
Are you sure it's not
Well,
reptilian?
show the reptilian.
It could be reptilian.
Could be.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of people who would think
The
that
lighting.
about me.
I mean, look, their lighting is bad. I'm sure in a good lighting they look pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That
what do
backlighting.
y'all think? We had past life people tell us that Roger was most definitely gray/reptilian. He was a hybrid,
Yeah.
and he came to save me, who was a fairy.
Wow.
She's a good friend of ours. He stayed behind to save this
Keep her
little
out of trouble.
elemental fairy.
Keep her out of trouble. It's a very hard job.
I wasn't any of those high evolved people, just so you know. There's like the earth realm, and just above it is like the elemental fairy realm, right? And I was right there in that. So I hadn't made it up to that Nordic reptilian or any of those. But to me, those reptilians,
They rule.
is Deanna watching?
Yes.
Yeah, what does Deanna say? She thinks she reptilian, right?
Yeah.
She's like, a reptilian? She designed a reptilian bracelet. Now tell her she's going to have to find a cuter looking reptilian than that. Matt, did you find that picture and I'm slamming you?
I did find it, but I'm not tied to this. My ego is not tied to this picture.
Matt's like, damn it. What the hell?
They're all generally ugly. Now there was another.
They're all generally ugly.
What was it on the Land of the Lost? Sleeslack.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of reptilian. They came from under the ground.
There was another race that I saw a lot
Arcturians
of
did.
called the Draconians, which looked more like a dragon.
Yeah, the Trigonians
Couldn't-
are another one.
I feel like it wouldn't have
Yeah.
been fair to put that in there because they also look
Yeah.
like a reptilian. Like you'd have to really look at the
I
differences
was
to
kind of
see what.
expecting the Draconians because Deanna and I talk a lot about the Draconians. She'll send me stuff on the Draconians, but she has never sent me a reptilian looking like that.
Yeah.
I think we should watch Land of the Lost tonight, just to with the Will Ferrell version though.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say on Beyond the Earth besides Michelle clearly does not connect with those spirits beyond the earth? They all just, I mean, do y'all want me serious what they look like to me?
What?
Seriously?
Let's hear it.
Zaps of energy. I have not seen like forms like that. Now you have seen grays, and when we lived in Frisco,
The shadows all the time.
shadows.
Actually,
Can
you know,
explain?
it's crazy
But to
is
be
that-
serious, instead of making fun of it, what
No.
did you see?
Yeah, you'd actually see shadow forms. I mean, it looked like people walking, but it was just shadows.
And you're not talking like the shadow tall
No, the
man
shadow
thingy,
nose.
scary. What are you?
The shadow nose.
No, the
not
tall
that, no.
man thing. What are you? You're not talking about that.
No.
You're talking about
These
the
are
grays.
actually shadows, and yes, and I saw that too. Yeah.
Well, you talked about him a lot because
Yeah.
I'd ask, you'd turn your head, and he would never say anything, like ever. And I go, "What did you just see?" Because I see stuff, and I don't always say anything because I learned at a young age. You just keep your mouth shut. And so I was like, "What'd you see?" And he's not saying anything. We didn't really know each other that way, just not saying anything. And I said, "No, we're like, what's over there?" And and I came to know pretty early he was affiliated to some extent with the gray stuff. You can, I will tell y'all this, you can feel that energy. If you touch the back of somebody's head, you can feel in a certain way, like right here.
Just don't go up and grab back of somebody's head, though.
But I can feel it on you because it makes me off balance because I'm a very earthly realm, like I said, that very close to earth realm being. I don't seem it. I always seem like dingy and ungrounded, but that's just,
Yeah.
I can feel that. And y'all call me crazy. I can feel it. People will say, you feel alien energy? And it feels different. It feels very, and they hide looking like that. And do I believe that they're amongst us already? Absolutely. I do.
They've been here.
Absolutely 100% believe they are on this earth.
I believe they've come for years. I mean, there was all right, so he's a little bit of crazy conspiracy theorist, TikToker that I follow, but I mean, some of his stuff is out there, but some of his stuff, like this week, he showed some videos of like an iceberg cracking and the ice cracking away, and inside the ice was actually a UFO, and there was video of it this week that got released out.
Well, what did the UFO look like?
It was your typical kind of saucer-shaped UFO that people always talk about. Well, think about that. It was in an iceberg where the ice had broken away. I mean, there's not a really good way to fake that out. Is there?
I don't know.
But, so that would have to be during the ice age.
Yeah.
Is where it had to be to capture, a ship.
I mean, I
and
just
freeze
say,
over.
why not? I mean, I'm open, and I think the bigger question to me is not do they exist, not are they out there. What do they want to have to do with us? Because if they're all, and why are they always said to be so much more evolved than us? Are we just that unevolved? Maybe. Why are we so interesting? And the other thing, and we're kind of on time. It said, Matt, it was a $600 billion annual Defense Department budgets. In the $600 billion annual Defense Department budgets, this was back in 2017. The $22 million spent on the Advanced Aerospace, this I was looking for, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program was almost impossible to find, which is how the Pentagon wanted it. Now they're pretty openly talking about that Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. There is a thing. So where they've been saying they got rid of all that, they did not.
Yeah.
Is my understanding of everything I've pieced together. And they've been wanting reports, and it's kind of been this shadowy program. So clearly, are they trying to hide this stuff they don't want to, because they don't want to scare us? Are they hiding stuff so there won't be panic? Are they now bringing it up as a whole nother show, which would be, we said this at the beginning of COVID, on SoulWhat we said, and Matt, I believe you said this, is this just so as maybe a diversion from what's going on? We talked about it at least. Could it be a diversion? Just why are they bringing it up now? I think we just posed that question.
Yeah.
You didn't say it was fact, of course, but and I think that it's all going to be very interesting. Do I think we're going to get anything new? No. What do you think?
No, we're not.
Matt?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, one of those videos has been floating around for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's just it. Like I remember when that most recent big release came, and a lot of that stuff had already been seen before.
Yeah.
And I remember being confused because I was like, I feel like I've seen this video, and yeah, it had been out there.
And I think what they're saying is, all they're doing is saying, we don't deny the existence of some unknown things. Right. Okay, thanks. And so at least that will tell people, look, there are unknown things. And if somebody can't agree to that there's stuff out there that they don't know about,
That's-
then they just need to open their minds a little bit.
Well, I mean,
Because
we
we
got
don't know about everything.
we got all the stuff on Mars right now. They already found bacteria, which is the sign of life there. We got Elon Musk. He's gonna. Oh, did you hear? Dogecoin is gonna be the new currency for space and everything, and for travel today.
Oh, okay.
So score.
There we go.
And then, but yeah, he's gonna get us all to Mars anyway, so that's okay.
Why'd you say score on that? Did you invest in that?
Maybe.
He just invests all this money and all this
Hey,
crypto.
do you know what it is?
We'll talk about it later.
Do you know what it is?
Heck no.
Tell her, Matt. Is
About-
it good in Dogecoin?
Yeah.
It was like a penny. Now it's like 60 cents.
Yeah.
Roger's all into it, y'all, and I have another friend who's helped us,
So-
so we can't say
So yeah,
it's secret.
it was like 0.0001 cents. I wish I bought some then.
Yeah. It was nothing for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it got super, super popular.
Like one dumbass family member, you should know, had $2 million, 2 million coins when it was like nothing. That's like it was like $200. So like to send him stuff now because he sold all of it.
Oh man.
He sold all of it and got like, $500.
Yeah. Hey, $500 is $500.
I'm like, you do realize today if you had still had that, it was worth 1.2 million.
Yeah.
So I know the other thing is I was just going to tell you really fast. They're just going to supposed to show us what was released. They're supposed to say why the video is making news, and then explain it. They're explaining who shot the video. We've already talked about that. The fighter pilots, and that's already been talked about on the Times News. That guy that Matt showed and put his picture up.
The only thing more they need to release is it landed on the aircraft carrier, and this is what they look like. I mean, seriously.
So really nothing's going to come out of it. So, one thing, just for Trump people, what Trump, when he was asked about it, and this isn't political, I'm just reading a statement. He was asked, did he believe about it or not? And he told ABC News, do I believe it? Not particularly. I think it's probably, I want them to think whatever they think. They do say, and I've seen, and I've read, and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly, Trump said. End quote. And then what's next? They're releasing this thing, and we're not going to learn anything. But what we learned tonight is that we all believe that they exist, and they're already here. Yeah. And there's one of them right there.
Yep.
Shapeshifter Roger. Oh, and I just wanted to say, here's a little piece of Beyond the Earth that you can get at Soultopia.
Yeah.
For a little bit of money. What is
It's
it, Roger?
moldavite.
It's moldavite.
It's a large piece. This is a 6-gram piece of moldavite.
That's huge.
Huge. It's yeah. So it's a huge piece of here. I'll put it on the overhead.
It's hard to see.
Yeah.
I posted some pictures on Insta or something of a guy who has shaped them. They're called impactites. Those and Libyan gold. We have huge pieces of Libyan desert gold, which they're called impactites because they've impacted the earth,
Yes.
right? And they are getting pretty hard to find and pretty scarce because of minerals get scarce because they either run out of them or they're hard to get to, okay, because of safety, or it's mainly because of safety or being in war zones, right?
Yep.
So
Right now, that's what the problem is with Libya.
Libya
is in the war
isn't
zone.
is it?
However, well, maybe we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah, because there was a strike today between is it Israel and Libya today? Was that today or yesterday? One of the two. There's a bunch of
So we
things
have a
going
lot of
forth.
Libyan desert glass, and so it's very especially the moldavite is very otherworldly, and a lot of you guys were coming in from it because some crazy person on TikTok talked about it, but really it is really high ascension and out of this world.
Yeah, and you know what? And before we close off today, Michelle and I are doing our card deck, and Michelle found out that on the moon, which crystal can you find on the moon that you still find here?
Appetite.
So, hey, who knows? All that appetite we have may have originally came from the moon.
Well, it also, because there's appetite has a lot of water to form appetite, you have to have water. So because of that, that showed that there might have been water, which what does that mean? There might have been life on the moon.
Yep.
So they're studying one thing leads to another.
I still think the moon was just a capsule
And
of
that's
bringing the
scientists.
people here to the Earth.
Okay, that's a whole nother show.
Oh, okay.
All right. So next time it will just be Roger and I again because we needed a break from. We love having all these wonderful guests, but we wanted to get back to just talking to you guys. And this weekend we have our Soultopia sensation here at Soultopia. We have discounted readings, healings, and we do have a speaker speaking to you via the
Zoom,
Facebook group Intuitive Insights, I believe.
Yep.
So join us this Sunday. And other than that, thank you so much as always for joining us. And thank you, Matt Stoker, for helping put all that together tonight and to make me look not so smart. No, I really enjoyed it. And thank you all for joining us where we discuss matters that are important to our soul and you get to discern and decide matters that are important to yours. Good night.
Good night, guys.